little technical problem there, and we were talking about situations like this with Jeff Deal as the car literally gets pushed up on one wheel with an engine explosion and, in fact, the pressure coming out of the left side of the engine. And Mike Dunn was going to explain how all this works. Try it again, Mike.
When you have an explosion like we saw with Jim Head 2 weeks ago in Topeka, the majority of the time it's from mechanical failure. Now, these fuel motors are four-stroke engines. You have intake, compression, power, and exhaust, and everything has to be timed together to make the car run efficiently through the quarter mile. If something affects that to where an intake valve is hung open, when the spark plug fires, it'll light all that fuel in the manifold, and when that happens, you're going to have a huge explosion. In the case of Jim Head, let's break down what happened. You have the gear drive assembly here at the front of the engine. As you can see with all the blower pulleys and everything, there's a lot of parts and pieces there. We break it down a little bit more. Here is a short block assembly that would be getting ready to go into the car. And you see the front drive assembly, which has the crank gear, the cam gear, and an idler gear. All right, in the case of Jim Head, you had the idler gear fail here, which separated the camshaft from the crankshaft. And with the intake valves open, it fired the spark plug and ignited all that fuel in the manifold. Now, over the course of the years, we've seen a number of huge explosions in both Top Fuel and Funny Car. A lot of people think recently it's because of the big fuel pumps and the volume that they're running. Well, back in 1983, you can tell you what volume that they are. So the bottom methane and whatever's in it with a huge explosion.
Wow, good stuff from the professor, Mr. Dunn. We thank you. Time for a Copart Fix-It Pit Report. We're in the Force Camp in Robert Hight's transporter, specifically with Robert. We were talking about the Terry Deal incident here this weekend when the headers break and virtually launch the car. You had something very similar to that happen to you in testing at Phoenix a couple of years ago, right?
Yes, I did. It only blew one tube off, but I think I went 265 miles an hour to half-track that run, and the whole car was in the air. It just launched it. And it happens so fast, there's nothing you can do. It just goes to show you how much downforce is out of those headers. And when they go and make a bend and turn up, a lot of downforce, that thrust gets underneath there. It wants to launch you.
How frightening is that?
You don't have time to be frightened. It happens so fast. It's amazing. And you just see the sky and you get off the throttle, and I was lucky. It bent my car a little, but we fixed it, and we went on to win the Winter Nationals with that car.
We were talking earlier today with the cloud cover, the sunshine back and forth, and it's a bit of a tuner's nightmare. But from a driver's standpoint, what kind of a nightmare is it when you have to kind of recommission yourself to get ready, the process you go through to go to the line?
Well, it's big because you can't stay focused 100% of the time. And so, you get this fire suit on, you get ready, and you're in your zone. You're mentally ready, and then this happens, the rain. So you've got to just kind of let it go, and then in a few hours we're going to have to get ready again. It's right now I'm all dressed up and nowhere to go.
Now, Paul's got a couple of baseball promos coming up. I got to ask you before we get to the baseball promos, how are your Dodgers doing?
They're not doing bad, but they're playing the Red Hot Braves this weekend, and those guys, they're kind of like the AAA team. They're winning lots of games.
They have been on a hot streak, and the guys in the truck who happen to be big Braves fans, they've raised their eyebrows, so to speak. Paul?
Oh, you can say anything you want on television. Some of it may even be true. And we're going to talk Funny Car. Let's go to Dave Reef.
Now, who needs Major League Baseball when you got Major League explosions? Now, Jack Beckman's been pretty fortunate in his career. However, Matt Hagan, you got everybody's attention in Charlotte. When you relive that in your mind and think back on it, I don't know how often you do that, by the way, what do you remember?
I tell you, it's pretty nasty out there. We, just had some parts that go wrong, and, it was right there at the lights. I think we went through the stripe there at 309, so we had our hands full when it blew up. Just glad that all the safety stuff that NHRA put on these cars worked the way it did.
When you see the video of that, does it look like it felt when you were inside of that race car?
I tell you, y'all got so many great camera angles. It was better on TV than it was in person. But, it was just something that you try to learn from and take back. But, every time you get in these cars, it's something like that can happen. So, Jack, he's kind of squeaked through there with no problems. But we drive these bombs long enough, and something's going to blow up.
He didn't teach you that part of funny car racing. Of course, you got great teachers with Beckman and Caps. And, well, you're ready to speak, I can tell.
They didn't want to hurt this pretty face, but I like like the fact that he said we had our hands full. I watched the video. I didn't see the other 9 guys in that car holding the steering wheel. You had your hands full.
Yeah. What have you learned from that guy? Great teacher.
Oh, great teacher, great guy. You know, he's just one of those guys that you can have in your corner to be able to pick his brain, and man, does he got a lot in there.
Do you usually get a word in edgewise, or is he doing all the talking?
Well, you know, it's tough, but he lets me get a word in here and there. So it's just been great to have him as a teammate.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the matchups coming up. It's Don Schumacher racing you two guys against the John Force cars of Robert Hight and Ashley Forsyth. And for your efforts, you get the #1 qualifier. Do you have something for him here today with this brand new DSR pipe?
I'm going to tell you, between Matt and I think we outweigh Ashley and Robert by a good 50 pounds. Yeah.
This isn't wrestling, though.
Oh, you know what? How about I'm good under rain delays? We seem to have good luck there. Yeah, we were only 100th off Hight's run last round, and when it rains this hard, the track changes. It peels up rubber, and it's kind of like a crapshoot out there. So we're both going to have to take an educated guess at it. I think we can hold our own out there. I think Robert's 14-round streak is in jeopardy.
Oh, I like that prediction. As far as you spent some time with Ashley Forsyth in a great roundtable this weekend, kind of getting to know her a little bit better, and now you got to race her. That's tough.
It's great. You know, I mean, she's a great competitor, but I tell you what, it's tough for us as competitors to have these rain delays. You know, your adrenaline's jacked up, you're ready to go and get in the car, and then the rain comes. So we kind of got to get ourselves back up and you know, kind of come back down and get back up again. So it's tough, but I tell you what, we got plenty of full throttle, and we're going to go have some fun with it. But we got to do well, because it's you know, Die Hard's based out of Chicago, Don's based out of Chicago. Big races for us, so we got to go out there and take that win light.
Well, look out behind Matt Hagan and Jack Beckman. The sky is starting to show some signs of some sunshine, and there's no more drips on the ground. That's good news.
We'll see whether or not we can't get this thing done, and done shortly.